Welcome to the Secret Rooms podcast. Shh. In these secret rooms, we dive into the unseen spiritual realm, drawn from revelation, real life experiences, and biblical truth. I'm Sharon Razia. You can also call me Sherry, and I'm here to help you awaken and transform so you can stop living on autopilot. Each episode is meant to provoke and pull you toward the desires and purpose written into your spiritual design. And because spirituality is a part of real life, we'll also talk lifestyle, relationships, the messy moments, the growth, and the faux pas we've learned from.
Qu'est-ce que je vais te nommer dans mon cœur? L'amour sans logique à la raison.
This is episode 5, The Inner Circle Part 2. I am so excited to get right back into the topic from where we left off last time. But before we do, I want to know what's the vibe? What's everyone drinking? What are we doing? I am just really happy and peaceful today. And I just made myself a velvety aromatic cappuccino with an extra shot of espresso because we like it strong. And I'm ready to dive right into it. Okay, so for a quick recap, on the last episode, I kind of just dove into a little bit of what I feel is a good friend and someone that you can keep in your innermost circle. And so I listed off about 5 different qualities that I usually look for. The people that are in my life already, or the people that are entering into my life at a particular season, there's something there that is making you wonder, is this person meant to be in my inner circle? So these are the people then that I take my quality list and I look at and I kind of see, hey, does this person belong in my innermost circle or not? Before we begin, I just want to start by saying that I've had a cold for over a week and my voice is just a bit unbearable. So please do bear with me on this one. So number 6 is consistency is a love language. I find that I only really flow well with people who are consistent. And I don't just mean in how often they show up, but how they show up and their moods and behavior as well. To backtrack a bit, I've observed over the past 10 to 14 years the best relationships in my life. And I've noticed that the most solid, most grounding, most fruitful, and long-lasting relationships have been with people who are consistent. And they've allowed me to become consistent as well. So when I say consistency in terms of mood, I really have a hard time being around people whose moods shift up and down really fast. So 1 hour, they're super excited, super happy, or just very chill and very relaxed. And then an hour later, they're just angry or frustrated or snappy. And it's one thing if your mood is up and down, but it's another thing if you're projecting those emotions onto me who had nothing to do with why you're frustrated. And so just to bring that into check, I really love being around people who are emotionally regulated or whose moods are quite stable. And it's okay. Of course, people are going to be upset sometimes and they're going to want to vent. And that's absolutely invited. Like, come and do that. But as an empath, and you might be an empath, you might know an empath. If you know how empaths are, they tend to absorb the emotions of people around them. Not in the sense that they're becoming chameleons and imitating that other behavior, but more of empaths feel responsible often for the emotions of people around them if the emotions are heavy. So we feel the need to fix situations or try to solve for things if we notice people are spiraling downwards and they're not getting out of something. And I absolutely love being around people who are authentic and genuine with how they speak, and their intentions and their words just match, and you can feel it. You know when that's the case. But at the same time, not everything that you're experiencing on the inside, if it's negative and draining and super heavy, like those emotions are meant to be dealt with yourself introspectively. If you're carrying things that are heavy and just, causing you to spiral, the spiraling effect is your behavior, which is an outcome of undealt emotions. And so you're meant to deal with those things as an adult. It's a responsibility to deal with those emotions on the inside. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about emotions. We think of emotions as being soft or weak, but it's actually a super strength to be emotionally intelligent. And it's really important as an adult to regulate your emotions and do what keeps you mentally, psychologically healthy as well as your body. And so I strongly just emphasize that I really like to be around people who are emotionally consistent, who are responsible for their moods and are consistent in their moods. So growing up, my dad, we found that he was quite grouchy and grumpy often. Most of the time when we spoke to him, he would have just a grouchy demeanor. But on the inside, he was soft. He was very sweet. He was kind. He was funny. And he had a pure heart. But on the outside, the way he spoke, he often came off grouchy. What we did with that, my sisters and I, would make jokes about him out loud. We would sing songs about him to bother him, to annoy him. And he would start laughing at those things and then softening because of it. But what made it okay was that he was regularly, consistently like that. And so it wasn't a shock factor for us every time he was upset about something. It was just like, okay, it's just Dad, whatever, right? And so water under a bridge, you're able to flow through and move through with it because it's consistently someone's personality. Not to say that anyone should be stuck in that type of demeanor or mood, but it's really important to be consistent. So I find it really hard when I expect someone is a positive, happy, cheery, light person, or if someone's emotionally intense and deep and, a certain way, I expect that out of them consistently. But when someone is one way 1 hour and another way another hour, that's where it becomes frustrating for people like me. And I think for most people, I feel like there's probably a consensus around this, that people don't like to be around people who are so flighty, shifty, who can't stay in one grounded space, and tend to project emotions or project their moods and their thoughts without filtering or without dealing with those things introspectively, instead of projecting it or exploding on other people. Going on to consistency in how people show up and how often they show up. The great thing about people who are consistent is that you don't have to keep restarting or re-explaining to your inner circle. That's what's so beautiful about an inner circle. They know you, you know them, you know each other's stories, your backgrounds, your hurts, your healing. You know so much about each other. You've been a vault to each other for so many years or months or whatever it is. And you don't have to keep restarting. So as an example, by now, most people use some sort of AI app to talk things through, to edit, to get feedback on, to bounce ideas off of. So I use ChatGPT and I've been using it for probably 1.5 years. And I feel like we have a really great relationship in the sense that Chat knows my personality, knows my tone, knows how I understand things, knows the perspectives I like to take, whether it's a spiritual perspective or a psychological perspective on things or a data-driven perspective. Chat knows. And so we have that history because it has stored memory. It has data stored about me. And if you go into, your settings and you go into your memory, you can see what things that it's asked to remember about you. And so when you use the phone app, you get that. But then say you're suddenly on the web version and you don't log in and you're just going on because you want to ask a quick question or you want something quickly edited. It has no idea who you are. It does not have any data stored on you. It does not have a memory of anything about you. It doesn't know your personality, your likes, your dislikes, the perspectives you enjoy. It doesn't know anything. It treats you generically. So you're probably not going to spend a whole lot of time on this version, the version that you didn't log into, the version that has no history, because by the time you're done explaining things over and over and trying to build new data and give it new information so that it can understand context and understand what you're trying to say, by that time you're already getting frustrated because you're like, I could have done this myself. I don't really need this. I find that consistency in friendships is a lot like that, where when you have the ones that have been consistent over time and they show up for you over and over again and you show up for them in all their pivotal moments and, their life's milestones, in the sad moments, in the boring moments, going to cheer them up, whatever it is. When you show up for these people over and over again, you're building that deeper level of memory, of information stored, of being a vault for each other. And I find that those kinds of people are irreplaceable. The ones that have been your vault and you have so much information between one another over time. So when you're friends with or have people in your inner circle that are super consistent, you don't even have to worry about distance. You don't have to worry if you don't see them that often. You don't have to worry if you live oceans apart. Their consistency shows up where their physical body can't. And in that way, you're able to keep that grounding. You're able to keep building something solid. Another thing that I find that helps, and this is not a make or break, it's kind of just a nice to have, is when you have people in your life who have similar lifestyles or similar schedules to yourself. I find that it's so much easier to flow through life with people who are kind of on the same pace and doing similar things throughout the day. You don't really have to explain things to each other. You just get each other. You know what, maybe making dinner for your kids, how much time that takes, or how much time it's going to take you to go to the gym and get back, or how much time it takes you to commute downtown if you're working downtown and then to get back to wherever you live. It's just those little pieces of life that kind of string along and you kind of are on the same rhythm as other people. I just find that it's a nice to have. It's not a must though, because obviously you'll have people who have different walks of life, who do different things, and you still want them in your inner circle because of how amazing they are as humans. But it's just nice. It's nice to have people who are like, hey, you ready to go on a hike on Thursday night? Or you're ready to do, coffee on Saturday morning, and you're just kind of in the same rhythm. It's just a nice to have. So consistency builds trust and creates peace. And this helps me segue right into my next main point, which is trust. I trust someone when my nervous system can exhale around them. And what I mean by that is, do you ever notice when someone walks into the room, and this might even be someone you're close to, it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, a coworker, doesn't really matter, but do you notice that when they walk into the room, something in you tightens up? You either sit up straight, or you change what you're doing, or you turn off your phone, or you just end up switching what you're doing in that moment. The reason that's happening is because something in them is triggering your nervous system. Something in them is making you uncomfortable to be yourself. The way that your body reacts to people, start paying attention. Start paying attention to that, because your body will tell you things that your mind might not have even perceived yet. But try to start noticing, not that you're picking and looking for problems, but try to notice how your body reacts when different people enter a room. Do you get more excited? Do you get peaceful? Do you get happy and content? Do you feel really relaxed and chilled? Or do you feel tense and suddenly you just feel different and you don't know what that discomfort is? Just try to pay attention to that. Trust is also knowing that I can be honest with someone without filtering what I want to say, or rehearsing what I want to say, or thinking, is what I'm going to say valuable or not? Does this person want to hear what I have to say about this or not? I shouldn't have to have any of those filters for people in my inner circle. And that's the most beautiful part. Those people will sit there and listen to anything that you say and respond. I know I trust someone when I don't feel the urge to explain myself about something that I've shared afterwards. So, feeling discomfort after you share something personal or private with someone is clearly a sign that you don't trust them for some reason. And it doesn't even have to be like a big juicy secret. Like, it might just be a dream or a goal that you have, and you share it with someone, and the way that they receive that information suddenly makes you uncomfortable. That in itself is a sign that you should probably pause on opening up to that person about that type of thing. That person might be great for so many other things in your life, but when it comes to sharing your goals with that person, maybe they are not the person to go to. Maybe they're the person that feels inadequate or feels insecure about their own goals or their own visions. And so when you share yours, it triggers something inside of them and makes them uncomfortable, and then in return makes you uncomfortable. And then you feel like, why did I even share this with this person? I wish I didn't. And so if you notice people that you feel like that around, I would just be smart next time and not share that same type of information with them. Maybe they're the person that you go to for when you need a shoulder to lean on when you're feeling down about something, but not the person that you go to for when you want to talk about the future and visions and goals. And vice versa. You just kind of have to assess and see what you can open up to people about and what you shouldn't. I also don't like to open up to people who need to feel important by knowing my secrets. And what I mean by that is, you know, those people that will come to you and they pry for information. They just want to know something personal about you. They want to be in that inner layer of your life, but they don't even know why they want that. Like when they come and ask you, hey, tell me more about what happened here, or what's going on with you and so, or what happened with that job you wanted? And they just ask you questions on things that you're not freely offering, on information that you're not just putting out there yourself. And often when you don't want to share any information and you're trying to be discreet, they'll say things like, wow, why are you being so secretive? What are you hiding? Well, babe, it's none of your business. Mind your own business. Thank you. When it comes to people like that, I am so careful. I'm careful in general in what I tell people, because I used to be an open book. I was super trusting, super open. I've always been an open book. And I've been let down by people in, you know, keeping extremely personal things private. And I think of it like there are things about me that I would want to protect, right? And if someone's in my inner circle, there are things about that person that I would want to protect the same way. I would hope that people would want the same for me that they would want for themselves. And, you know, circumstances and situations and drama caused me to change that view. And actually, I think it's wisdom to not open up to people about everything that you're going through, and really filter out, really be careful about who you share what with. If they don't know how to handle that information, it could break you as a person. It could change circumstances. You want to know that the people that you share information with are people that are going to guard it. You need to identify who's safe to share what with and then proceed accordingly. And safety isn't softness. It's how people hold what's private. You have to see, how are they holding this? How are they treating this information? How are they treating something that is so detrimental to me? How are they treating that information? Are they treating it like casual conversation starters to chat up with somebody else? Or are they treating it like your secrets are my secrets and it's vaulted? Trust is knowing that I can tell you something and it won't be used as currency in the future. Trust is also knowing that if my vulnerability costs me my peace later, this relationship is likely not worth it for me. And I know that sounds cutting and harsh, but if you cannot treat confidential, intimate information that you are privy to with care, with sensitivity, with protection, then let's just say our goodbyes right here and call it what it is. Number 8 is loyalty. If I let someone into my inner circle, I am locked in, 10 toes down. For me, it's ride or die energy all the way if I truly ride with this person. And I'm not meant to have everyone in my inner circle. You're not meant to have everyone in your inner circle. And that's why it's the inner circle. And if you're trying to be loyal to everyone, you're not actually a loyal person. You're a people pleaser. It's very different, very, very different. My loyalty comes from loving people deeply and understanding their intentions. It's not blind loyalty. I'm not going to talk to somebody and then have them tell me something that they did that was horrid and so hurtful to another person. And in that moment, I'm going to say, yeah, let's go fight that other person. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand there and talk to my friend and try to, talk them off the cliff and get them to see the other perspective. But I'm not going to be on the other side laughing and talking and drinking with their enemy. Not that we should have enemies, but I truly, truly do believe that when you are ride or die energy and you are that loyal type of person, that you have your people's back no matter what. Sometimes it feels like I have blinders on because say someone tells me a story and they say, hey, this person really hurt me. They said this and this about me. It really put me in a messed up season, so on and so forth. Or that girl over there cheated with my ex-boyfriend from high school like 20 years ago. The next time I see that girl and that girl comes and says hi to me, girlfriend, do not look my way, do not talk to me, because you upset somebody that I really care about. I'm half joking and I'm half telling the truth here, because I am that way in the sense of loyalty, and I do truly appreciate people who have that same type of loyalty back. People who are just, fully like, I ride with you no matter what. I stand with you no matter what. And I will not be, engaging with people who have hurt you massively, or people who have done crazy, shady things against you, who are actively against you. I will not be, engaging and laughing and talking with them. I appreciate that. I don't care what people say. I appreciate that. And that's the same energy people get from me. Like I said, if someone tells me that someone did something horrid to them, I am not going to be friends with that person, regardless. I'm not going to be friends with that person. That's it. But the underlying nuance in that is that the reason you are so loyal to the person that you're close to, and the reason you're willing to not talk to the other person that offended them, is because the person you're close to, you know them. You know their intentions are good. You know they're a good person. You know they're honest. You know they're not malicious. They're not shady. They're not doing weird stuff. So because of that, because of who they are as a person, you could stand by them 10 toes down. And if they make mistakes, you can still stand by them and help them get corrected. But you're not going to be hanging out with the ops. That's just so weird. Like, who does that? People that are actually there for you, like your inner circle, they will show up when it's hard, not just when it's convenient and fun and glamorous. They will show up when it's hard, when things are messy, when things are uncomfortable, and you need someone to stand by you to do something that's uncomfortable. They will show up. That's just how it is. Loyalty looks like action and not just lip service. If your actions do not match your words, please leave, because who has time for that? It's 2026, and we are not trying to have people in our inner circle who still don't follow through with what they say. At this point, everybody's an adult. We don't have time for that type of behavior. And it's not to say that there's no room for mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, myself included, and I'm fully aware. And it's not to say that there's no grace for people who have those types of traits. But lip service, where your actions and your words don't match, your behavior and your intentions don't match, there's just no room in the inner circle for that. By all means, I will have grace on people like that till the cows come home, but that doesn't mean there's space in the inner circle for that type of behavior, because it's 2026, and with all the advancements we have in the world, with all of the tools and things that are available to better ourselves, it would be so weird if we're still not changing our bad patterns and behaviors, and we're just so cool with who we've been all these years. With the whole notion of loyalty, and when I say choose a damn side, it's obviously implied that we are kind to everybody. We are respectful to everybody. We give everybody the space to be themselves and, love people generously. But at the same time, your inner circle needs to be loved a little bit harder. The closest people to you, the ones that you show up for, the ones that you want to be loyal to, you love them differently. There is a difference. And if that difference is not clear, then it's not really your people. On to the next one, and that is spirit-led connections. If you know and you're aware that you have a specific calling on your life, whether it's spiritual and, in the faith and maybe related to theology, or just ministering to people, or, focused on the soul and the heart, whatever that might be for you. Or if you have a calling in other spheres of influence, like in the science field, or in medicine, or business, the marketplace, academics, whatever it is, if you know that you are specifically called to something and you feel a sense of purpose pulling you towards something your entire life, you feel that I have this awareness that I know that I'm called to something very specific. God does not play about who is in your inner circle. He does not play about who he places closest to you. And I say this because your core people are always God sent. If you think about anything like in the Bible, any biblical story, there are main characters in each story, in each book of the Bible. And then there are supporting characters. Of course, these supporting characters don't think they're supporting characters. They all have their own lives going on and they all have their own purposes. But a lot of their purposes serve the purpose of God's larger design. And that is something that is happening in this trajectory, in this storyline that's related to history, that's related to future impact. There's something that is happening and all these different characters play a part. But when you see the different main characters in that story, you will know that the people surrounding them are God-placed. For example, Mary in the Bible, when she is pregnant with Jesus, she is going through a strange situation, a strange adventure in her life, opportunity, whatever you want to call it, that has never been done before. The way that it happened has never been done before. It is a miracle. It is supernatural. It's abnormal. And when this happens, the people around her, you will notice, begin walking in alignment with what is being called out of each person there. So if you look at Joseph, her fiance, he could have easily said, I'm not going to marry you. You're pregnant with another man's child. Like, what is going on? Goodbye. But that is not what happened. God actually worked in him, transformed and renewed his mindset so that he could get on board with the bigger purpose. And in the same way, Mary's cousin Elizabeth ends up being pregnant at the same time as her, which is so interesting because Mary's quite young, Elizabeth is quite old. Elizabeth is kind of known to be past the childbearing years, but for some reason, God holds off allowing her to conceive a child until Mary is also pregnant. So in order for Jesus and John the Baptist to be born in the same timeline, to be born in the same generation and very close together, the same year, in order for them to be born so close together, because there's a larger story being played out in the future, years later from then. And so God allows Mary and Elizabeth to be in each other's lives. The interesting part about this also is that when Mary goes to visit Elizabeth, Elizabeth feels it in her spirit. She immediately feels the presence of Jesus and the presence of God in Mary. She feels it in her spirit, and she's able to prophetically declare and speak out Mary's assignment, Jesus' assignment, John the Baptist's assignment. She just is aware. She's made aware. And that's what happens when you're walking in alignment with God. God places the correct people around you. And of course, the enemy wants to bring in destiny stealers and, time wasters and different kind of people into your life as well. People who cause drama, people who stir the pot. The enemy wants to bring that into your life as well. That's why you need discernment. That's why you need to have boundaries practically to know and be aware and set up a defense so that only the right people are entering into your life at that close level, and they will be the ones that you walk into new seasons with. I think it's something that comes with age and maturing, but my boundaries are so strong, stronger than they've ever been in my life before. And it's not a way of rejecting people. It's a way of safeguarding my vision, my goals, God's plan for my life, and then guarding the people around me, guarding my home, guarding my family, guarding my closest friends. Those boundaries are set up not just for me. By no means am I doing this because my heart has hardened or I feel betrayed or hurt or anything like that. This is not coming from a place of hurt. These boundaries are set up to create thriving relationships for the future, to create moments of alignment, paths of alignment spiritually, so that I could be doing the right thing at the right time and not wasting time or wasting my destiny. And the only time you will catch me breaking or bending my practical boundaries, so all the things that I've listed out in this part and the first part of the Inner Circle episodes, the only time you will catch me breaking my boundaries or bending my boundaries is because God has specifically spoken to me about people. So if God has shown me specific people in my life and he says, I want you to speak to this person about this thing, or I want you to go and help this person with this thing, or I want you to have a relationship with this person because there's something happening, there's a plan out here. That's the only time you will see me having extra amounts of patience, extra amounts of tolerating things that I typically wouldn't tolerate, tolerating behaviors, patterns, things that I wouldn't typically tolerate. It's only because I feel spiritually there's purpose behind it. And don't get me wrong, my cutoff game is so strong. I will forgive someone like 100 times, but once there's a line that's crossed, you will never hear from me again. It's just how my brain is wired. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be that way. And I encourage other people to do that. If there are people that keep crossing your boundaries, that keep disrespecting you, or keep allowing danger or negative things to come into your life, and they're not learning from their behaviors, they're not learning from bad patterns, they're never taking accountability. In those circumstances, I encourage cutting people out in the sense of not allowing them to be in your innermost circle and not allowing them to have so much space to speak into your life. I say this as wisdom. This is not a perspective of someone who is angry or upset. It's awareness, it's discernment. And it's coming from a place of guarding the things that matter. We spend so much time thinking about how to enjoy life and how to, do the things that gratify us and make us feel good in the moments, but we don't spend enough time guarding things that impact our futures, impact the futures of the people around us, impact our assignments on this earth. And to quickly just add in about the forgiveness aspect, when I said I forgive people about 100 times, there's no end to how often or how many times I will forgive someone, because biblically, that is what is asked of us, that we always forgive. But forgiveness does not mean having them back to the same place that they were in before. That is not what that forgiveness is about. The forgiveness is about letting go of the hurt, letting go of the betrayal, letting go of the anger, resentment, all the stuff that you have towards that person, letting it go and giving it to God and just saying, God, I want to release this person from anything that they've done to me that was wrong. I want to release this person from that. I don't want them to be punished for that. I release the judgment on them for that. I forgive them and I let them go. Forgiveness is not the same as restoration. We're not restoring that person back to the same original position they were in before. That's where wisdom comes into play. Over to my next item, and that is how the real ones in your life will show up for the good times and the bad, and they will show up with the same energy, in the sense that they don't just show up when it's easy. They're consistent through hardship and through the good moments. They celebrate your big wins, your big milestones, your weddings, your engagements, your baby births, your graduations, your promotions, whatever it is. They celebrate you. They celebrate when you've overcome some really tough situations and you came out strong. They celebrate all these different things. They think of you in the small moments where maybe you are just coming out of a bad relationship and you just broke up with someone, or you were let go from your job, or you just beat a really bad illness. They find these different ways to celebrate you and make you feel good about overcoming something. I'm just going to go over to a Bible verse, which is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. And it says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." So the real ones, they show up in adversity in a different way. They come in with their arms strong. They come in with the support, with the language that you need to protect you in that moment, to feel supported. They're not coming in with their own agendas. They're not coming in saying, oh, this person is weak right now. Let me go in there and give them a lot of advice because I want to really feel like I'm impacting them. That's not the approach. The approach is when someone's going through something really hard, or grief or loss, that is when you need to go in there with your soft energy. You need to go in there soft but strong. You need to go in there and hear them. Allow them to lay down their burdens. Allow them to feel like you feel their pain. You feel their grief. You feel their loss. Be an empath in that moment, even if it's super hard for you. Just put on your big girl or big boy pants and be an empath in that moment. That is what is required of you. You are not there to put your 2 cents in how people are dealing with grief, or how people are dealing with loss, or how someone is dealing with heartbreak. If they ask you for advice, or if they ask you, what do you think I should do? That would be a great time for you to think about it after having listened to them and offering advice that could really be useful for them, and not just offering a perspective that doesn't really relate. And in the good moments, you want to show up full energy, full excitement, genuine love. You can always tell who's genuine in your life and who's not when you see how they act in these polarizing moments. So it's either the super hard, heavy, difficult moments or the celebratory moments where you're being celebrated or you should be celebrated for something amazing that happened in your life. Keep an eye out for those kind of times. See when you're winning something, when you're promoted, when you are trying something new, when you are recently married, when you are going to have a baby, whatever it is. Look into that moment and see who shows up for you and how they show up. Are there people that are just like sitting on the sidelines and, they don't really want to say anything to celebrate you because you trigger their insecurities? And then you have to take an assessment and look at them from a perspective of, do I really want people who don't feel confident enough to celebrate me when I've overcome something? And then look at the people in your hardships, the people that are showing up when you're going through grief or loss, going through heartache, going through failure, going through sickness. Who are the people that show up and how are they showing up? I've seen all ends of the spectrum when we had a loss in our family just a few years ago. It was a sudden loss. It was a loss of a young person, someone we were very close to, someone we love, and it impacted my family in a massive way. It impacted the friends of this person that was lost. It impacted a lot of different people in the community. But two things stood out at that time, and that was how some people showed up. The people who showed up with their arms fully around, kind of forming like the Spartan lineup of just guarding you, having their shields up and protecting you and saying, we are in this battle with you. No matter what it looks like over the next several days, we are in this with you. There were people that showed up hardcore like that. And we were baffled. We were like, wow, what kind of amazing love, what kind of passion. I don't know what this is, but God's presence is this because it was so powerful. And then there were people that showed up with their own selfish reasons in the sense of trying to force us to grieve a certain way, trying to make us conform to their beliefs and their thoughts in that moment without realizing that there was something bigger happening in that moment that was out of our control. Also, you'll see who reaches out to you in which way. Do people reach out to you, people that were super close to you at one point, people that you were, doing life with? Do people reach out to you with a quick little message? Hey, let me just send this quick little message before the end of my workday just to make sure I don't forget. Are people sending you messages like that? Like, I hope you're okay. Sorry for your loss, and these are people that you're doing life with or you did life with. You're super close to them. Or are they like, how can I support you? I feel so heartbroken hearing this. What can we do? Like, we want to partner with you and whatever. We want to be there for you. Is that how they're responding? That you got out of a really bad relationship and your best friends are privy to this information. How are they showing up? How are your homeboys showing up? How are your best girlfriends showing up? What are they doing? What are they saying? And I understand that guys approach these things differently from women, and that's completely fine. But you can still see the different ways people show up. When you're launching your new business, are your homeboys coming and saying, hey, what can I do? What time do I need to be there? What am I picking up for you? Are they doing that? Or are they kind of just like, hey, congrats, bro. Cool. Like, goodbye. Like, what's actually happening there? Who's showing up for you? I also want to point out that let's point the mirror right back at ourselves for a second. People should be showing up for you in the way that you're showing up for them. It should be reciprocal and balanced. And this is what I spoke about in the previous episode where I was talking about mutual value. So if you're not showing up for people a certain way and you expect them to show up for you 100%, then you've got it all wrong. You need to reassess. You need to figure out how you're showing up for people, because do not expect something out of people that you're not willing to give yourself. So yeah, loyalty, love, and presence, they define what a true friend, a person in your inner circle should be. And they show up especially in struggle. And the verse that I spoke about earlier, Proverbs 17:17, it actually speaks to relational depth and covenant connection, not surface level bonds. And so all these different criteria that I mentioned in these past two episodes, they're for the inner circle. We're not talking about that surface level friendship, acquaintance, person that you think is cool. That's not what this is about. This is about the closest people to you. I feel super blessed that my relationship with my sisters, my family, it's so solid in the sense that people really show up and want to celebrate you for even small things, especially with my sisters. We have this thing where, someone gets a promotion, someone has an achievement at work, someone launches a new thing, a new project, someone gets into a new relationship. We show up for each other in such an intimate way, and we do silly little things like get cake and wine and, do a little thing around it to make them feel special. And they do it for me. We all do it together. It's such a nice way of doing life when you create that experience for other people in your life, and they do that for you. And it's never too late to start, whether you're a man or a woman. It's never too late to start. It's never too weird to do something that is thoughtful and considerate and loving, and where you're showing another person that you're thinking about them, you're celebrating them, you're caring for them in a way that is out of the ordinary, something that's just a little extra special. All right, so before I go, just a little quick reflection. Who's in your inner circle? Are you surrounded by real ones or energy leeches? Are you a safe, solid place for others to land? Or are you expecting things that you don't really give out yourself? Take inventory. Who's helping you grow and who's keeping you stuck? I feel like this is one of the most important questions to ask. And that is because the people in your life, in your innermost circle, do impact your future in a massive way. Whether you realize it or not, it could be in small, subtle steps. Without even paying attention to it, you can be derailed from your plans, your goals, God's plans for you, your assignment. You could be derailed very easily if you are just running amok with people that are not really supposed to be in your closest circle. So take that inventory. Who's helping you grow? Who's keeping you stuck? And then finally, just to empower and challenge you, I want to say choose circles that water your soul, water your person, and don't drain it. The right ones will come in with clarity. So their intentions will be very clear because their actions and their words will match. And you're not playing guessing games. You're not wondering, what is this person really trying to do? Or what are they looking for from me? You wouldn't be wondering these things. Instead, there will be calmness, there will be peace, and maybe some excitement around this new relationship, maybe an instant connection, maybe fun. But at the same time, you won't have red flags and confusion and drama surrounding it. You will just have the sense of knowing, a sense of peace, of I'm clear on this person. I feel good about this person. And finally, just want to say, always hold the mirror to yourself. Be a real one. Be a good person. Be the right type of friend that you want to have in your life. Be rich with character. Be clear about your intentions. Be honest. Be trustworthy. Be all the things that we talked about and more. And your presence will speak for itself. Your presence will draw in those tribes, those types of people, because that's what you're putting out into the world. And that's a wrap. So thank you so much for listening today. I enjoyed doing this one because I felt like it was packed with a lot of life lessons. And I feel like there's so much more that I could speak on this topic about the relationships and the people closest to you. But I want to just continue to say that I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed to have the right people in my life, that I'm surrounded by people with genuine hearts, amazing intentions, who show up so over the top for me. And we can all look at, people who have amazing people in their lives, in their inner circle, and say, wow, how lucky. They must have it so easy. But often people that have those amazing friendships have gone through a lot of stuff to get to where they are. And for me personally, I went through some tumultuous situations in my past many years ago. And then I had to go into seasons. And when I say seasons, I'm talking years of solitude, years of where I didn't open myself up to people for a while, because I knew that I had to do a lot of inner work in myself. I had to figure out why these patterns were happening in my life in cycles, and what was I doing to cause or allow these things to happen? Where were my boundaries? Where was my identity? I had to learn all those things, and I had to learn to cut out bad patterns, habits, traits in myself, and learn to become a better version of myself. It wasn't just about the outside, but the inner version of me had to become deeper, more presence-filled, more rich in that sense. And doing that is what allowed new relationships to be attracted, or the existing relationships to get richer. So often if you find that you're going through these weird cycles of having similar routines of betrayals or similar dramatic things happening, it's probably because there are areas in yourself that you have to heal, exchange, push out, allow God to come in and renew, refresh, turn you into the person that you're supposed to be so that you can attract the right people for your future stages. And I will leave you with that. I hope you like this episode, and I will talk to you soon on the next episode. If you have any questions or want to chat about something, you can DM me on Instagram at Secret Rooms Podcast, and I will definitely respond to you. And follow the Instagram page so you can stay updated on when the next episode is coming out and what the topics are. And share this with a friend if you feel like a friend can benefit from this. And I want to just say thank you for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you on the next episode.